Leah Nichy. Leah, welcome to the show. So allegations there of bring back Bercow. Lindsay Hoyle showing bias. Chris Hope just said Sir Keir Starmer have been given a get out of jail card. What's your take on this, Leah?
Well, a speaker showing bias. Who knew? And we've seen this happen before with Bercow. I'm not sure it's quite as bad as wanting to bring back Bercow because he was particularly I don't know whether a polite word to say about him, but we don't want him back. Certainly this does break with precedent. We know it does. I think it's very interesting, isn't it, that the Labour Party that want to see itself as a new government in the next few months or around a year, that they are so nervous about their own party members and front benchers that they have had to put Lindsay Hoyle's arm up against his back, perhaps, to say that you need to allow this to happen so that we don't have an embarrassing break with the whip. And I think it's sad for democracy because SNP, being a smaller opposition, don't have as many opposition days. I think it shows that Labour are very, very worried about this because the ordinary British public actually want us to be fair about this and not only think about Palestinians, but actually make sure that people remember that this was a terrorist attack by Hamas on Israel, on a state that has the right to defend itself. And, if people are thinking about wanting to vote for Labour in the future, then they need to think about actually what a Labour government would actually mean on issues like this.
Yeah, and Leah Nichy, in fact, when we talked to Colonel Richard Kemp shortly, he says that the people who would most like a ceasefire would be Hamas. A lot of people getting in touch with us today, Leah, on the point of why are Parliament giving so much time to issues in Gaza? Let's alliterate. Great Grimsby, Glasgow, Gateshead, Gillingham, Gloucester, lots of places across Britain, feeling that Parliament seems to spend a lot of bandwidth on Gaza and Palestine, particularly the Labour Party and the SNP. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. My in-tray, I could count on one hand the amount of people that have wanted to let me know about their views on Gaza and Palestine and Hamas and those situations. They actually care about what we're doing in the UK. Of course, Parliament has to debate international issues, but frankly, our influence over what another country does, what another sovereign country does to defend itself, is really not for our debate or business, really. If we looked at goodness forbid, if something similar happened in the UK and we scaled that up to our kind of population numbers, and 10,000 people were attacked by terrorists in this country, wouldn't we expect our sovereign government to go back and actually retaliate? So we need to remember that as well. And we've got more pressing issues at home. People want to see their areas levelled up. They want to make sure that we've got good quality jobs and careers available for people, that we're looking after people with regard to the cost of living, all of those things that actually are really important to people. And today, although it's a bit of political posturing and interestingly nervousness on Labour's part as to perhaps showing the public where their true colours really do lie if they were a potential government, we need to be getting on with the business of what the people who voted for us are asking us to do, rather than all this political posturing that, as you've said, makes actually no difference whatsoever.
OK, I'm also joined in the studio, Leah, by our political editor, Chris Hope. He has a question for you.
Leah, hi, Chris Hope here. I hope you can take this question very quickly. Have you heard about these suggestions that Labour figures were saying that Labour would almost bring down Speaker Hoyle unless he called Labour's amendment? That's been denied by Labour. But the message, according to one reporter for the BBC, says you need our votes to be elected as Speaker after the election, and that may not happen unless you allow this Labour amendment. Is that right? Have you heard that?
Well, I haven't heard that, but, actions speak louder than words, and Speaker is supposed to be impartial. As you said earlier, they are effectively the referee in a football match. Isn't it interesting that a Labour Speaker has actually clearly listened to influence or discussions or persuasions and has broken with parliamentary precedent. That tells you all that we need to know.
He's a former Labour MP, of course, no longer a Labour MP, but and he would deny those claims, I'm sure, but that's a concern.
It is a concern. It's a concern for democracy. It's a concern to see what is happening, in the background, and we need to make sure that Parliament is relevant to the people who voted us in. And what this whole orchestration of people coming and protesting about Gaza. Are we seeing any pro-Israeli protests out there? Well, no, we're not, because actually the Jewish community feel under threat and would not feel safe coming out at the moment and doing that. And that's a terrible, terrible indictment of what is going on and the kind of pressure that is being put on people. We are an open, friendly, tolerant nation. And this nonsense that we are seeing with aggression and anti-Israel aggression needs to stop. And people in places like my constituency do not want to see that happen.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us, Conservative MP for Great Grimsby, Leah Ritchie, for your forthright views. Thank you very much for joining us.